Welcome back to the Bear Down Podcast. I'm NCAA Football 14, guys, a.k.a. College Football Revamp, where it's all about everything Arkansas A&M. And guys, we're back where we want to be, in the national championship, getting ready to take on the number 2 Michigan Wolverines. Now, if you guys know anything about this series, man, this is like a rivalry game. I think this will be like the 3rd time we've played these guys. They beat us a couple seasons ago, ruined our perfect season. We beat them, and now this is the rubber match, this time for the title. But in today's video, man, we're going to look back at the season, look back at the past couple weeks, and look ahead, man. We got recruiting to take a look at, and get ready for the Natty. So we start things off looking back at the week that was, man, for our Black Bears. We handled business against Kansas, beating them down 77-13. This was a game where we just came out and played upset football. We went into the week ranked as the number 2 team in the nation and left with the unanimous decision as number 1. As you can see, we put up 77 points, just a solid, balanced offensive showing, man. 14 in the first, 21 in the second, 21 in the third, and 21 in the fourth. Gabe had a big day through the air, 315, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But it was the run game, man. These boys got going. Ira, 124 yards and 3 touchdowns on senior day. And then Philip Vega came in, only had 8 carries, but had 124 yards and 2 scores. Shout out to Gabe. He also had a rushing touchdown. And then Trey Morgan, his last game in the den, 5 catches, 115, and a touchdown. Tariq, his last game as well, 4 for 69 and a touchdown. And you have Fred Foreman down here, 2 for 35 and a score. Defense played an amazing game, led by Brian Jones. He's been doing it all year, 9 tackles. Corey Bentley on his senior day, he had 3 sacks on the day. Dylan Gross also had a sack. You have Brian Charles chipping in with 1 as well. Just a great showing by Black Bears. Caleb Walker, Trey Turner each had a sack. We moved to 12-0, and then we got ready for the Big 12 Championship. And in the Big 12 Championship, man, against Oklahoma, it was close early. In fact, the Sooners had the lead at the end of the first quarter, but we exploded in the second quarter with 20 points, and then we closed it out in the second half, putting up 24 points. This Oklahoma team was a tough squad, but our Black Bears came to play. Gabe finished with 259 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, completed 66% of his balls on the ground. It was the Philip Fagan show, 163 yards and 2 scores. Ira went over 100 yards, and AB got a touchdown as well. Out wide, Ashton Ryan led the way, 5 grabs for 67 yards. Tariq had 4 for 56 and a touchdown. Trey, 4 for 35 and a touchdown. And then the true freshman, Mike Warren, 1 for 26 and a score. But I think I'm most proud of the defense because they were able to clamp down this Oklahoma run game. Yes, we gave up 328 yards through the air. We had 6 interceptions of Fletcher. This defense was flying. We were forcing a lot of turnovers, bringing pressure. We held Walker to only 62 yards on the ground. Oklahoma had one of the better run offenses in the country, and we were able to hold them to only 62 yards. Let's take a look at the team stats. This game was impressive, man. We just dominated across the board. We beat them in first downs, total offense. We dominated. They beat us in the passing game. But look at this, man. We held them to 0 of 8 on third down. I'll say this about our squad, man. When it comes to third down defense, we have been putting on a great show. It was just a good look for us. I think one of the bad things about this game, though, man, we were 7 of 8 inside the red zone. You guys know how I feel about the red zone. Once we get in the red zone, we need to put up touchdowns. And for us not to get a touchdown or not to score in the red zone, it sucked. But a win is a win. We dominated 51-20. Look at the time of possession, man. We held on to the rock for dang near double the time that they had it. Just a great win, 13-0. And we're on to the national championship. Before we take a look at the stats for the season, man, let's take a look at the final BCS rankings. Our Black Bears, number 1 in the country, the only undefeated team. We're 13-0. Michigan comes in at 2. They finished 12-1, beating Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship. San Diego State, they move up 2 spots to 3. They're 11-1. Then you've got Penn State 10-2. Tennessee is 9-3. Notre Dame finishes the season 10-2. Florida's in at 10-3. Florida State 11-2. Auburn falls 5 spots after losing to Florida in the SEC championship. They're 11-2. Texas rounds out your top 10. They're 9-3. And you've got Bama, a down year for the Crimson Tide, man. 9-3 on the season. South Alabama, what a year, man. 11-1. You got Washington 9-3. Fresno State fell 11 spots. Wow, to 14 after losing to Utah State in the Mountain West Championship by 1 point. I think if they would have won that, they might have been the number 2 team in the country. Then you got TCU at 15, Ole Miss at 16, Mississippi State at 17, Indiana is 18, Arizona 19. You got LSU at 20. Oklahoma, after we beat them, falls 6 spots to 21. Iowa State finishes at 22. Army creeps in at 23. You got Pittsburgh falling 7 spots to 24. And Stanford rounds out your top 25. Taking a look at the season stats, Gabe Perez in his first year as a starting quarterback putting up big numbers, man. 4,250 yards, 36 touchdowns with 11 interceptions. He averaged 327 yards per game, completed 74% of his balls. I think he might go down as the best quarterback that this school has seen. C-Dub, Craig Washington, is up there. So is Todd Robertson. But Gabe is just a different beast, man. This dude can make all the throws. If we need him to get outside the pocket, he can. But his arm talent is just something special. Phillip Fagan continues to impress us, man. 252 carries for 1,749 yards, 29 touchdowns on the season. He had his longest run was 80 yards. That was against Kansas. Phil is just a beast, man. When we decided to put him in the starting lineup last season and allow him to be the power back, this dude has really carried the rock for us and has become a beast. And look at the numbers, man. His freshman year, only 171 yards on the ground. Sophomore year, goes up to almost 1,200 yards. And now in his junior campaign, he'll cross over 1,800 yards after the national championship. And the TD totals are just insane. I think we're looking at a first-round pick when he decides to declare. Ira Harris, 131 carries, 941 yards, 16 touchdowns on the season. We're trying to get him to 1,000 yards. This year has been a down year for him, considering, look at the numbers. You know, he had 1,200 yards in back-to-back seasons his sophomore and junior year. If we can get him to 1,000 yards, which I think we can, that'll be a great look for Ira. He's been a workhorse for us. I wanted him to be the Reggie Bush in this offense, and I think he's did that, especially in his sophomore and junior year. This year it was tough because we do have so many more weapons than we've had in previous seasons, but I think he's still doing a great job, and I'm excited to see what he can do at the next level once he graduates. Anthony Bryant in his first significant playing time in his career here at A&M, 29 carries, 101 yards, 8 touchdowns. Gabe on the ground. He's got 4 rushing touchdowns. Mike Warren has 1, and so does Tony Mitchell. Out wide, I think we have one of the best groups of receivers in the country, man. Trey Morgan led the way, 79 grabs, 1,162 yards, 13 touchdowns. In his 4 seasons here, man, he just got better every year. 799, 838, 1260, 1162. He's going to shatter all his previous records. He's going to break all the receiving records in this last game. I think he needs maybe 100 yards to get the most receiving yards in the season. Only a couple more yards to get most receiving yards in a career. Catches, I think he's a little ways away, but he just broke the touchdown record the last game. This dude is just a beast, and I think he should be the number 1 pick when he graduates. You got Tariq Larson, 47 grabs, 979, and 7 scores. He's going to break 1,000 yards receiving by the end of the year. Ashton Ryan, 45 grabs, 784, and 4 scores. This true freshman has been a deadly weapon for us, and I'm excited to see what his future holds with the Black Bears. Fred Foreman, 34 grabs, 583, and 4 scores. Mike Warren, 20 grabs, 239, and 4 scores. Next season, he's going to be an intricate part of this offense, man. He's going to be playing all over the field. Ira had 18 grabs for 154. DT, Donald Thomas, 12 for 181 and 2 scores. And then James Alexander, 7 grabs, 124 and a touchdown. To the defense side of the ball we go. I think this defense played a lot better than they have in previous seasons. Senior middle linebacker Brian Jones had a breakout year. 117 tackles, 32 TFLs with 7 sacks. Again, he came in as a outside linebacker, and we decided to kick him inside because we thought that he would be a better fit inside. And man, for the 2 seasons he played middle linebacker, this dude was a monster, putting up ridiculous numbers. Again, I think that we're looking at a first-round pick here. Not the fastest, but he's a great tackler. He gets off blocks. He's got great zone coverage. He'll get after the quarterback if need be. I think B. Jones has really solidified himself as the best linebacker in the country, and he's going to get paid. Nick Ginn, 65 tackles on the season. You got Bill Jennings, who had a breakout year as well, 59 tackles, 4 TFLs, and he had 7 interceptions. Last season, I think he played a little bit inside at nickel, and then we moved him to the outside. And he's been shining ever since he was named starter. 13 interceptions in 2 seasons. He's not a shutdown corner, but he plays his role very well. And as you can see, he won the Thorpe Award this year. Just a great year for the senior. David Sims in his sophomore campaign, 51 tackles. Brian Charles, man, came off his red shirt and just carried the defensive line. 41 tackles, 18 TFLs, 14 sacks in his last season. He was not used a lot. Think about it. We had Kyle Butler and Corey Mark for the past 4 seasons. And now it was Brian Charles' turn to step up. And boy, did he. 14 sacks in his senior campaign, 18 in all. He forced 2 fumbles. Just a great player, man. We're going to hate to see him leave next season. Then you got Dustin Carey at free safety, 39 tackles. Casey Buchanan, his senior campaign, 38 tackles. Matt Scott, I think this year teams shied away from him. There was a couple times he got picked on, but most of the time they went to the other side. He still had 5 interceptions. Last year he had 6. He was a 3-year starter for the squad, and just a great player, man. A great player. 16 interceptions for his career. Corey Bentley, 34 tackles with 6 sacks. Bo McGee, 31 tackles and 2 sacks. Dylan Gross had 31 tackles and 7 sacks. This is another guy who didn't see a lot of playing time in his first 3 years on campus. Moved him to defensive end, and he shined. We have a rotation on our defensive line, and Gross comes in on pass rush downs, and he benefited from that, man. 7 sacks. I think he'll be like a 3rd or 4th round pick at the end of the season. But again, this kid is something special. 6'7", 242, and he's got great speed. Ben Bowen, 24 tackles, 8 TFLs, and a sack. Garrett Anderson, the big defensive tackle, 16 tackles, 5 sacks on the season. Caleb Walker, 14 tackles, 11 TFLs, and 5 sacks. Then you got Bryson Williams. He had 7 tackles, 3 TFLs, and a sack. Jermaine Coco, he'll see a lot of playing time next year, 7 tackles. Leon Hester had 6, and Jonathan Lamb had 5. I'm very proud of this defense, man. We really got after the quarterback this year. Brian Charles with 14 sacks. Dylan Gross had 7. Brian Jones with 7. Corey Bentley with 6. Caleb Walker and Garrett Anderson each with 5. You have Bo McGee and David Sims with 2. Trey Turner had 1. So did Paul Wilson. Then you had Hester and Williams with 1. Ben Bowen had 1. These guys just got after the quarterback. I like the defensive line that we're building. I think we've got great defensive ends. We've got some big hole pluggers up the middle at defensive tackle. And we still have a couple of freshmen that are coming in. I think they can make an impact next season. So this defensive line is just going to keep getting better. And I'm excited for their future. Turnover department, Bill Jennings led the way, 7 picks. Matt Scott had 5. Bo McGee with 3. Brian Jones had 2. Then you had Nick Ginn, David Sims, Jermaine Coco, and Ben Bowen each with 1. Forced fumbles, Caleb Walker as a sophomore, man. I can't wait to see what he can do next year. He forced 3 fumbles. Brian Charles, Dylan Gross, David Sims, and Brian Jones each with 2. Bo McGee forced 1. We only recovered one of those fumbles, and that was a Nick Ginn scoop and score. Talking about scoop and scores, we had 3 defensive touchdowns this year. David Sims had a pick 6, so did Bill Jennings, and Nick Ginn with the scoop and score. Shout out to Keaton Holt, man. He was perfect. 7 of 7 on field goals. I don't know why it says 99%. That's weird. He had a long of 51. Perfect on extra points. Look, that's crazy, man. He kicked almost 100 extra points this season. Just a strong leg kicker, and he's going to be back for his senior year. Jacob Williamson won the Ray Guy Award. 18 punts, 914 yards. He averaged 41 yards per kick. Had 5 inside the 20. He had a long of 79 yards. The return game, Marquise Powers, I think he kind of snuck his way into the returner of the year. 53 returns for 1,585 yards. He averaged about 30 yards a return, had 2 touchdowns in 1 game. And I think that's what sealed up the trophy for him. Next season, he's going to have more of a running back role. I still might use him in a return game, but he might step into that Ira Harris role next year. And then in the punt return game, Tariq Larson, 33 returns for 488 yards. I really thought we were going to be able to get a punt return with him this year, but I enjoyed him more as a wide receiver. I think he showed a lot more of what he could do as a receiver and not just as a return specialist. So here's a look at the NCAA leaders. Gabe Perez, the only quarterback to go over 4,000 yards this year. He has, I think it's about a 700-yard lead on Bell from Ole Miss. In the run game, man, this was a running back's year. Philip Fagan is 3rd on the list with 1,749. More from Arizona, almost 2,000 yards rushing. Small from Akron. He's got 1,759. There's Fagan. The Heisman Trophy winner is Dean from Tennessee, 1,737 yards. And Noel from K-State, he had 1,586. Here's your top receivers, man. Daniels from South Carolina, a big year, 1,487 yards. Cooper from South Alabama, 1,325. Then you had Morgan from Virginia, 1,295. Williams from Ole Miss had 1,246. And then Trey Morgan is 5th on this list with 1,162. No doubt about it, our guys are great tacklers. Brian Jones, 116 tackles on the season. Nick Ginn had 60. Bill Jennings with 55. David Sims with 49. And then Keys from West Virginia had 48. In the sack department, Brian Charles led the way with 14 sacks. Baker from Hawaii was 2nd with 13.5. Ray from UNLV had 10.5. Willis from ULM had 9.5. And Horn from Arizona had 8.5. Interception department, Miller from Buffalo had 7 picks. Jennings is tied with them. And then you had Williams from Georgia State. He had 7. Ridgeway from UTEP had 6. And Harvey from Ohio had 6 as well. And for the longest field goal, Childress from Vanderbilt had 56. Vincent from Purdue had 55. So did Munoz, O'Connor, and Minor. So let's take a look at the awards. I think Philip Fagan got snubbed. I think he got the short end of the stick. Bobby Dean had a great year for Tennessee. A great year. 1,737, 20 touchdowns. He had a long of 55. No fumbles. Just a great year as a running back, man. Out of the backfield, he only had 3 catches for 63 yards. But I still think he didn't have a better season than what Fagan had. Phil had 1,749 yards. He averaged 135 yards per game, 29 touchdowns. He did fumble that one time. But, even out of the backfield, he caught 6 balls for 50 yards. Stat-wise, Fagan had the better season. I just don't understand what voters saw. And the crazy part is, as you'll see here in a few minutes, Fagan won all the other awards he was up for. But Dean finishes first. Then you got Fagan. Thompson from Fresno State, he had a monster year, man. This dude really put on a show. 2,000 yards through the air, 33 touchdowns, 11 picks on the ground, 1,255 yards as a rusher, and 14 touchdowns. Then you have Williams from San Diego State and Lee Peterson from Penn State. So like I mentioned before, Fagan really racked up on the awards this season. He won the Maxwell Award. Gabe Perez finishes 6th. He also won the Walter Camp Award ahead of Dean. right? The Bednarik Award goes to Brian Jones. Bill Jennings finished second. Nick Ginn, 6th. You got Brian Charles, 9th, and Matt Scott was 10th. The Nagurski goes to Brian Jones. Brian Charles finished 8th. Gabe Perez won the O'Brien Award as a redshirt sophomore above all these seniors, man. He had a monster year. Like I said, led the country in passing yards. The Doak Walker goes to Philip Fagan above Dean and Peterson. The Biletnikoff goes to Chad Williams from Ole Miss. 80 grabs, 1246, and 18 touchdowns. The kid from Auburn, Jason Christensen, 54 grabs, 878, and 15 touchdowns. Now, this is Steven Daniels. This dude had a monster year, man. 106 grabs for 1487 and 10 touchdowns. And you had George Cooper, 88 grabs, 1325, and 18 scores. And Trey Morgan finishes 5th, 79 grabs, 1162, and 13 touchdowns. The Mackey Award, Ashton Ryan finishes 4th. Nobody on the offensive line list. The Lombardi goes to Brian Charles. You got Dylan Gross 4th, and Caleb Walker was 5th. The Buckus Award goes to Brian Jones. Thorpe Award, Bill Jennings is 1st. Nick Ginn finishes 2nd, and you've got Matt Scott 5th. The Ray Guy Award goes to Jacob Williamson. And then the returner of the year is Marquise Powers, and we also won Coach of the Year as well. So the Black Bears racked up a lot of awards this year, but they want one more before the season's over with, and that's the national championship. Here's a look at your first team All-Americans. Gabe Perez is your quarterback. Philip Fagan is your running back. Then you've got Will Horn at left tackle. That was a surprise for me. To the defense side of the ball, we go Brian Charles, Dylan Gross on the list. There's Garrett Anderson at defensive tackle. Brian Jones at middle linebacker. We got David Sims, the sophomore, out at right outside linebacker. Bill Jennings, Matt Scott, and you got Nick Ginn at strong safety. Jacob Williamson at punter, and Marquise Powers is your returner. Second team, shout out to my guy Osiris Richmond IV. He is the second team running back. You got Trey Morgan at wide receiver. Keith Smith at right guard. Corey Bentley is on your second team defensive line. Bo McGee, he gets second team All-American. That's what's up. Here's a look at your Big 12 All-Americans. Gabe Perez, Phil Fagan, Trey Morgan, Ashton Ryan, Will Horn, Keith Smith, Colin Dodd, Brian Charles, Dylan Gross, Garrett Anderson, Brian Jones, David Sims, Bill Jennings, Matt Scott, Nick Ginn, Holt, Williamson, and Powers. Here's the second teamers. Ira Harris makes all Big 12 second team. Tariq does too. There's Drew White, John Hawkins. We've got Alfred Robinson, Caleb Walker, Corey Bentley, Bryson Williams, Bo McGee, Casey Buchanan, Dustin Carey. Oh, I didn't even look at the first team all freshman list. We should have a few up here. Here's your freshman of the year. Ashton Ryan is on this list. There's Bryson Williams, Leon Hester, Bo McGee. Man, our Bears were everywhere this year. So it's time to hit the recruiting trail. We added a couple more players at the end of the season. First up, Brandon Bain from New Jersey, 6'2", 225, four-star prospect, and he's a running back. I think he reminds me a lot of Brandon Jacobs, the former Giants running back. Just a big dude, 6'2", 225, great speed and agility, nasty stiff arm. He's somewhat elusive. I would like to see his break tackle go up a little bit more. Trucking as a true freshman is a good look at 80. Again, we have a loaded backfield for the next few years. So Brandon Bain will probably get the red shirt as soon as he steps on campus. Then we picked up B.J. Holland, the four-star athlete from Alaska, 6 foot, 194. I'm not sure where we're going to put him yet. I honestly don't know. He could play receiver, or you could play somewhere in the secondary, probably like a free safety. His tackling is not that great, but he's got great man coverage and zone coverage and pursuit and play rec and press. It's a lot of ands. But he can also catch. He's got great route running, release. He's a returner. Again, coach likes those Swiss Army knives, man, and he actually can play quarterback too. I think with BJ, he could probably play all over the field. He could probably play offense and defense. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in the spring game, because I think that's going to kind of set the tone for the rest of his career. So we're 3-2. So we're lucky, man. We have 2 players left on our board. One is definitely a must get. The other is kind of a throw-in player. This is Donnell Swan, the number 2 strong safety in this class, 5'9", 176 from Minnesota. Right now, it's a dog race between us and Florida. Now, again, this dude isn't going to be, a wow factor early. He's got 89 speed, 83 agility, 87 acceleration. He's a great tackler. The zone coverage is okay, but I'm interested to see this press, man. He's got 97 press. To be 5'9" and have 97 press, that's amazing. He also has 90 jumping. With Nick Ginn leaving next season, hopefully he doesn't declare early. We're going to have a void to fill, and I think Donnell Swan can come in and step in and play early. And then there's Blake Hardy, outside linebacker from South Carolina, 6'5", 242, a 3-star prospect. Now, my thinking with him is put him down in the trenches. Make him a defensive end. 83 speed, 82 strength, great tackler, great hit power. The power move and finesse are there. I want to see his block shedding go up a little bit, so he could be a candidate for the red shirt his freshman season. But I think give him a year or 2 to kind of develop into a pass rush specialist. Hardy's going to be a problem. But as we go down this list, man, you can see we've got a lot of talent coming to Conway this season. I think this is one of our better recruiting classes. 2 freshman quarterbacks battling for time. It's going to be interesting to see who is able to, become that number 2 or potentially the number 1 quarterback of this offense. I'm excited for our defensive ends that are coming in, Ryan Austin and Jesse Henry. I think we did a great job recruiting offensive linemen as well. We've got a couple outside linebackers that are going to come in and make some noise. This is going to be a solid group, man. And, if we can have them all 4 seasons, I think they're going to be able to keep carrying the tradition of A&M into the next generation. And Albert Flores, he might be a starting wide receiver day one. Day one. He can move into the Trey Morgan role. We'll have to see, man. We've got a couple guys that are going to be that are coming off their red shirts next year. But again, we've got a lot of guys that are going to be impact players. Isn't this interesting? So we're looking at the top recruiting classes so far, and Michigan is has the number 1 class right now. 18 recruits, 3 5-stars, 9 4-stars, and 6 3-stars. We're second with 15. We've got 2 5-stars, 8 4-stars, and 5 3-stars. And here's the rest of the list: Clemson, Notre Dame, Auburn, Texas, Nebraska, LSU, Penn State. Bama rounds out your top 10. But look at the top 2 teams, man. The top 2 teams getting ready to play for the national championship. They have a 99 overall offense. Yikes. So it's time to get ready for the Natty, man. Let's take a look at this Michigan squad. And they're led by Corey Hines at quarterback. Dude is a 99 overall. What kind of year did he have? 2,346 yards through the air, 22 touchdowns with 12 interceptions. He averages about 181 yards per game, but it's the ground. It's the running attack for him, man. 707 yards and 9 touchdowns. Definitely going to have a spy set up. I wonder if we could run our base defense against their offense. I would love to see Ben Bowen kind of shadow Hines to make sure he doesn't get outside the pocket. But they're stacked at quarterback. They got Brian Green for next year. And then Ramsauer, 2. Oh my gosh. Michigan just putting out quarterbacks. Ground game, Grady Weisbecker. Okay. 94 overall. This dude is a beast. 98 speed. This year, 1,173 yards, 10 touchdowns, a long of 75 yards. Out of the backfield, 17 grabs for 162 and 2 scores. 98 speed, 99 acceleration, 91 break tackle, 99 elusiveness, 84 carry vision, 99 spin move, 96 juke. We're going to have to be on conservative tackle. Sheesh. Darren Davis is his backup, redshirt freshman at 85 overall. Fullback's not that great. Let's see what their wide receivers are looking like. Fast. Okay. Great. Bill Johnson, 95 speed, 89 overall. Oliver is 87 overall with 96 speed. Henderson, 85 overall with 90 speed. He's hurt though. And then you got Greg Bird, 83 overall with 86 speed. I want to see what their catching is looking like. 88, 79, and 89. 96 route running, 91, 84, 86. Our secondary is going to be in trouble. At tight end, Nate Page is a 94 overall senior. Shelby is an 82 overall sophomore. I'm pretty sure they've got a great offensive line. Randy Butler's is 84 overall left tackle. Akeem Holly is a 96 overall left guard. Pearson, a 94 overall center. Matt Price, an 83 overall right guard. And then Jones is a 79 overall right tackle. We might be able to take advantage of him. That's Brian Charles' side. 84 and 83, 79 impact, maybe. To the defense side of the ball, Rodney Seymour, 88 overall at left end. Then you got Robert Brooks, who's an 86. Jimmy Jones, a disruptor, man, 91 overall with 86 speed. Then you've got Lee Sims. He's an 80 overall junior. Up the middle, Dwight Gibson's an 85. Roberts is an 84. Linebacking core, Martin Allen is a 77 overall, 80 speed. But they make up for it with Sean Montoya, 96 overall with 84 speed. Then you've got Maurice Gordon. He's an 81 overall with 88 speed. And Ryan Ball's at 80 overall with 80 speed. Tim George looks like he's injured, so we'll probably see Will Ingram, the true freshman. He's a 69 overall with 78 speed. This should be a fun matchup for Trey Morgan. Zach Kilpatrick, a 92 overall corner with 97 speed. 98 man coverage, 99 zone, 87 press, and 92 play rec. Okay. Then you got Travis Jackson, 90 overall with 94 speed. He has 99 man and 98 zone, 89 press. And then John Rhodes is the nickel corner, 88 overall with 91 speed. And he's got 98 man, 94 zone, and 94 press. Solid secondary for the Wolverines. At free safety, Jamal Boyd, 83 overall with 89 speed. And then there's Zach Swart, 80 overall with 87 speed. He's got 79 zone and 89 hit power. Boyd is 89 speed, 83 man, 81 zone, 81 play rec. Cool. This team is stacked, man. This team is stacked. They got a sophomore kicker who's 89 overall and a junior punter who's a 95 overall. Boys, we're going to have our hands full. This Michigan team is really good. On paper, they look really great. Defensively, man, this might be a shootout. This might be a shootout. It might be whoever has the ball last wins. So we've got to come out and be ready to play. So normally we have our top 5 plays of the week, but I'm holding out because I think I'm going to make a separate video of the top 10 plays from this season. So be on the lookout for that. But coming up, man, we've got the national championship. Number 1 versus number 2. This is the rubber match. It should be a really good game. Our Black Bears looking to go back-to-back, but standing in our way, the Michigan Wolverines. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're brand new. Don't forget to ring that bell, join the Natty Squad. And make sure you guys check out those links down in my description. Follow your boy on Facebook, Twitter, and IG. And come through and join the Discord fan for exclusive content. And we'll talk from the Natty as we take on the number 2 ranked Michigan Wolverines and look to make it back-to-back. Have a great day, guys. 2 fingers in the air. Peace.